Hello, this is Bob.
Bob, it's Scott up in New York on WFDU. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great, Scott.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for being on the show. I know you're traveling around the country. I was just telling the folks how much I enjoyed reading Play All Night, Duane Allman and the Journey to the Fillmore East. And I'm glad it's out there. What inspired you to do the book?
First of all, I just want to say I really appreciate those words more than you can possibly imagine. And I really respect your work, Scott, the things that you've been doing. Did not realize you were part of the force behind the DuaneAllman.info site that has just been so awesome for me. So I appreciate the kind word. That it really does mean a lot. Super long story short, to condense the question, why did you write the book? Look, 20-something years ago, 28, 30 years ago, I got hit by the bug like a lot of us do with the Allman Brothers, and the story fascinated me. The fact that the band carried on after Duane died and then after Gary died, the whole sort of thing just really, it was mind-blowing how good the music was. And then when you realized it was sort of, I'm a Southerner, so they were a generation ahead of me. I felt connected to that part of it. Scott, it was one of those things. I'm a nerd. I mean, I'm a bookworm. I'm a historian by training. I have a PhD in history, so I used my academic pursuits to put the book together, force myself into a structure to do it. But it was the number one thing was,
what's her name?
For me, it was, what the hell is this, and how can I explain it to, can I explain it any better? And another one real quick, do you remember Hitting the Note magazine? I'm assuming you do.
Of course.
Back in right after Midnight Riders came out, Scott Freeman's book, and I loved that book. And it's a huge part of my book, at least Scott Freeman captured a whole bunch of just really wonderful, very deep insights from the band at a time when they were really low. In the 80s, after they'd broken up, is when he did so much of his interviews, and it was there was a lot of uncertainty in they had gotten back together, but what I knew, the full 25 years of the reunion, it was just beginning, and there was a review in Midnight and Hitting the Note, and it was not a very good review of Midnight Riders, and it basically said it didn't answer the why question, which is what a historian answers. And I am a historian, and I was like, I wonder, this is no lie. I said to myself many, many, many years ago, I wonder if I could do that. And so there's your long answer to your short question. And then, of course, you read the book. The preface really unpacks everything that goes into those statements I just made to you.
Yes, and that's why I asked you the question. I thought the preface was great, and you really laid it out there. I have my friend.
Thank you.
I have my friend Phil Cunningham in the studio, and we just got off the phone with Sandy Blue Sky, and we were talking about, and all of us were talking about something magical about this band, and in particular for all of us, the original band, and that transcends generations and time. And I think your book hits on that, and I think you just touched on that yourself. So.
And it is a terrific title that, if the Allman Brothers, Play All Night, of the three most famous words captured in the book. There you go.
And here's something that sort of dawned on me the last 2 weeks. I went down to Florida, my home state, to kind of do a little mini book tour and book run. And one of the things that hit me was I feel like my book, Play All Night, my intention was I did try to bring the fan voice into it in terms of what the band wanted to accomplish, and with music, what they stated they wanted to do and they were trying to do, how did it impact people? And I know how it impacted me, and I was trying to so listening to the fans, or at least using, a lot of these are, they're not critics in the sense what we know today. They're just people like us who were writing in college newspapers and stuff. And the fact that the title is a fan yelled out, your listeners don't need to know where that is in the middle of You Don't Love Me, but it's apropos, and I need to admit, my publisher is who chose that title. I wanted something else.
Yeah. I think it's important, you know, to recognize that when you're dealing with Duane, you're dealing with a mystical and mythical figure who passed away just a heartbeat before fame kicked in, and that this thing has continued for so long. We just played Amy Ray, Duane Allman on the radio before we called you, and now you're part of the legacy, man.
And you're the next generation. You're the next generation. You're the next to get bit by the Duane Allman book.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I've thought a lot about that of late. You know, it's out 2 weeks tomorrow, and you know, there's a piece of me that's like scared to death, and then there's a whole bunch of like, I hope, you know, more of y'all read it and feel that, because that's kind of, you know, I am the first outsider to write something on them. I think since Randy Poe's book in like 2006. And out by outsider, I mean, Alan Paul is not an insider in that he's a member of the thing, but those are his sources. You know, he's a part of he's been writing on the band for decades. You know, I have not. I'm a little bit nervous about that. I'd be honest to my fellow Usher heads, and I want to say what Sandy said is the same thing I feel, and y'all do too. It's like every damn time I'm at Rose Hill, well, not every time, but just about, a dang freight train goes by, you know, and you're just like, okay, come on. Stop, universe pointing me in these directions. It's wonderful.
Right.
It's been fun. It's been a joy of my life.
The thing that I'd like to put out to you is that you took this back to the source. You took it back to the beginnings. You took it back to the heart of it. You know, there's a whole story afterwards, after Barry passes away. But you took it back to oomph. And the reason I'm here doing this for fun and for free, and why Phil is here, is because this meant so much to us, and it seems really important to pass this on to other folks, because it means it changes people. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. I would say that, and you know, likewise, I devoted a whole lot of time, effort, and I gained so much from it, y'all. I mean, this is no lie. This has been a joy of my life to put something like this together, and it means a lot to me that when I hear from anybody, I'd say my friends or, you know, fellow fans or non-fans, it means a ton to me. I'll tell people there's not a single detail in that book that is too small for me to discuss, because of how painstaking it was to construct it, you know. And I moved. The first draft of that is a PhD dissertation that's like 60% longer, and not nearly as readable. I mean, not at all readable in comparison.
It meant so much to us 52, 53 years ago, and it still means that.
It does. It still means that.
Yeah.
And you got all kinds of people listening today from all the different Duane Allman and Allman Brothers Band Facebook sites. You know, when I put out that you were on it and Sandy was on it and that we were doing the show today, we got a terrific response. People, it means a lot to folks. And I also want to mention, I don't know, I'm a Gator. I graduated from the University of Florida.
Well, I'm officially finally a Gator after spurning the Gators in 1989. So it's welcome, and it was awesome. I gave my very first talk after the book came out in Gainesville, which was a meaningful thing for a lot of reasons for me. But so go Gators, Scott. Love it.
Anyway, thank you for being with us today. Folks out there, want to encourage you. Is it available on Amazon now?
It's on the Amazon, and if y'all want to talk Allman Brothers, my tagline is @Long Live the ABB on all the socials. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm posting content, history content. Scott, a lot of it comes from, you know, or much of my fact-checking derives from the site you helped do, and you know, I'm grateful. Thanks to everybody. A quick note for you guys, and this was not on purpose, but I actually finished the narrative, finished my very last draft to turn into the press for the final time for their review on this is not a lie. I was in Muscle Shoals, which I was on purpose, but it was I was writing it from October 28th to the 29th last year. I finished the damn thing on the 50th anniversary of Duane's death, and I didn't schedule my time that way. It just happened. So there's the magic. And it was not intentional at all. So
Yeah,
I appreciate the good words.
Sure, and let's give a shout out to Hans at the DuaneAllman.info site. He's the master blaster there. He put that whole site together. I did a lot of footwork, but I credit this show and a lot of things to Hans and that website, DuaneAllman.info. So I want to second that emotion too.
The road goes on.
Yeah. So thank you,
gentlemen. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you my next trip to New York. We got to get together and talk shop, talk some Allman Brothers in person.
Right, and we've got numbers now, so let's stay in touch. And we got some great music for you folks. Stay tuned and some more stories. And Bob, thanks so much for being on with us.
All right, peace, y'all.
Take care, man.